You're listening to the Southampton Delivery Podcast, a podcast dedicated to the Southampton Football Club and all of the SFC fans.
We just got to go out and express ourselves.
Fonte with a scooping header.
We just got to get the job done. I'm here to get the job done.
Подача, Остин все-таки забил.
It's infield to Mane, 25 yards out. Lovely ball for Pella. Onside, 1-0. The fast shot. Oh my word.
He ran around a bit like Bambi on ice. It was very, very embarrassing to watch.
And now, your host, Matt Markstone.
Hello and welcome to the Southampton Delivery Podcast, a podcast dedicated to the Southampton Football Club and all of the SFC fans. My name is Matt Markstone. I'm the host of the show. No matter where you are, no matter how you may be listening, whether this is your first time or you've been here before, welcome to the show. I hope that you enjoy it. And speaking of enjoyment, Saints fans finally have something to be excited and happy about. A good performance at the weekend, 3 points, which was important, 2 goals, one from Danny Ings, one from a very well put together counterattack, some budding partnerships all over the pitch, moving on to the third round of the Carabao Cup. I think all of those things are fantastic. And I think all of those things give us a reason to kind of be positive for the first time in a long time. And I was trying to think back to the last time I was really excited about something at the club. And I think, maybe the transfer window and picking up Danny Ings on deadline day, and also just, getting other players in that I thought would really help the squad. That was exciting. But thinking back to a game, I don't know. Swansea was more just kind of relief. Wasn't really excitement. But this was genuine excitement. This was Saturday. I was very, very happy. And as Simon Peach tweeted, this is only really the third weekend in 2018 where I could actually be excited. I could be happy about the performance and about the result, where it all goes the same way. And I thought it was great. So this week I'm joined by Alex Hammond. He's been on the show before. He is at St. Hammond. He writes, he does media stuff. He is on the media team at Eastleigh FC. So if anybody supports Eastleigh FC, Alex is part of the team that's doing the match reports and the photography and the in-game stuff. So we'll talk a little bit about that and his role there. As well as kind of diving into the win over Crystal Palace for the most part. And yeah, that kind of is what this episode is focused on. Next week's episode will be focused on the Southampton Women's Football Club. It is the international break. But more importantly, I had the opportunity to speak with, one of the strikers, Emma Pinner, and, this weekend worked, and it'll be out for next week's show. So, I hope that you enjoy it. There's a little bit more of real life happening in the background of that episode. I don't know if I'll be able to clean it up, but Emma was great in putting up with me kind of being lost and frustrated and honestly cursing way, way more than I ever should in the presence of anyone, let alone a podcast guest. And if my mom saw me talking or heard me talking that way in front of a woman, she would be very upset with me. So Mom, if you're going to listen to that episode, I love you. Sorry. Mostly. Yeah. I think we're good. We're fine. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on because I'm getting nervous now. Because I feel like my mom's going to be mad at me and I don't like that. But anyway, this week's show, Alex and I talk mostly about wins and about positive things, but there are still things we need to work on, and I don't think that's a negative thing either. I think that is part of life and striving to get better, and the team should always be pushing to get better. That's what we want in the transfer window. That's what we want on the pitch. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So anyway, let's jump ahead now to the interview with Alex Hammond. Once again, he's on Twitter at St. Hammond. You can follow him along there, and I will speak to you at the end of the show. I'd like to welcome back to the Southampton Delivery Podcast, Alex Hammond. You can find him on Twitter at St. Hammond. And we're here to talk about the 2 most recent victories that Saints have had, maybe a better spot to be in the season. Nice to talk about wins always. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about writing and work and all of that stuff. But Alex, it's just nice to have you back on the show.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. And thank you for having me once again.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like I said, this might be a nice place to talk because up until now we've been talking about victories and looking for positives, and I'm not going to pretend like yesterday was all good because that's never how it is. There's always things you can work on, but just before we get too deep into it, like, how are you feeling right now, given that we won yesterday and also earlier in the week?
Massive confidence boost for the players, relief as well for the fans. Hopefully this is the pendulum, the pendulum rocking for the season so that we don't have another season like the last, and hopefully we can kick on. Absolutely. And, there is lots to talk about, and we'll touch briefly on the Carabao Cup just because, that really was the first win, and it wasn't televised here in the States, and it was midday games. I always complain are difficult to watch, and I shouldn't really complain, but, I did see the highlight. I got to see, Redmond, create a little bit of space and put the cross in, and Charlie Austin score. And, just on that note, I think just getting the win, didn't matter, how it happened, just getting over the line, getting that win. Gunn made some good saves. I think that, do you think that played into yesterday at all? I mean, the win in general would have been huge because, we were without a win yet. So that was confidence for them. Austin, on a personal note, for his first goal, for his goal as well, although he missed a penalty yesterday, but that doesn't really matter as much as I thought it did at the time. But no, I mean, a cup run in general is always good for players. Gives us a chance to put out players on the pitch that we might not put out during the league game. So Gunn, for example, had a great game. But yeah, I think it was more confidence based more than anything, and hopefully we can kick on. Yeah. Before we get into that though, let's talk about you, because I think things have changed a little bit since last time we spoke. I know you're in university, but you're on break. We were talking about this before we started recording. You're on break for what seems like forever to me as an American school teacher. But what are you doing to kind of fill up your time between school semesters and between watching Saints and all that stuff? I went on an actual holiday for a few weeks in France, then came back, got a job working in central London at a restaurant, and also more sports based. I got a job working for Eastleigh Football Club, which the media team is run by students, so second years and third years. We do things like filming for BT Sport. We run their social media page. We do match reporting. We do data for things like Soccer Saturday or whatever, and photography. And recently, I've been taking up the photography role. But I've also done match report. But yeah, it's been a very Southampton-esque season for Eastleigh as well. So not too many changes there. Yeah. Well, I mean, when you talk about doing match reports and stuff, when you're doing that, like when I listen to like some of the guys maybe from the Totally Football Show or from the Football Weekly, when they talk about it, you tend to write that report all the way through, and then sometimes the late goal comes and you just have to throw it all away and start over, because you have to tell some sort of story there. You realize that, do you find that happening to you, or are you enjoying that, or what's like maybe the most frustrating part? So this season it's not happened too much. First game of the season I did the match report for, it was against I think it was against Solihull Moors, and nothing happened all game. There were bouts of excitement, and then there would be 20 minutes of nothing. So at halftime I would write what happened in the first half, and then towards the end of the game I would sort of think about what my headline would be. And sort of, I think it was the 77th minute, Eastleigh scored a penalty, and I was okay, Eastleigh about to get their first one of the season. And then, as I was writing that, 82nd minute, Solihull go and equalise, make it 1-1, and then 84th minute, they go and score a winner. So, I had to change my perspective completely, and also because the goals were slightly down to a bit of defensive, or a lack of defensive discipline, because I'm writing for Eastleigh's website, I can't be too judgmental. So, yeah. So there's that side as well. But no, it's a fun experience. I mean, it's great, afterwards as well, interviewing the manager, who's a real character, and then also taking photos of players, getting to know them, talking to them. It feels like a real sort of family club, and everyone feels really close. Now, what like level or division are Eastleigh playing in that they, you're reporting for BT Sport and doing things like that, but what, where do they rank in kind of the pyramid of English football? So at the moment they're in National League It's one-off League Two, so it's one-off professional leagues. But yeah, they're at the moment. I think they're 17th in that league out of 24 teams. So hoping that the season can only get better from here.
Yeah. What's relegation look like at that level? Is it the bottom three, or they take more down than that?
I think it is the bottom three. So now they seem to be all right, but they're having a lot of problems with injuries and things like that. Trying to get a few players in right now, but no. Hopefully things do get better, because they do play well, and sometimes they do get a bit unlucky with refereeing decisions, because down that sort of spectrum of the pyramid, referees are a little bit questionable per se.
Okay. Yeah, one of the things I've noticed is when you tend to see those videos of some of those lower league, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful manner at all, but like you look down there and some of the tackles that go in are brutal, and things like that.
Oh yeah.
And that would never fly in the Premier League. We talk about the Premier League being physical, but that's why you look at a guy like Jamie Vardy, who had to play his way all the way up through there, and he's willing to just stick it out and also look reckless at times, because that's allowed when you're down there, I guess. And
yeah, it's also because a lot of them some of them have been ex-professionals at sort of Championship, League One sort of level, so they go in hard. And also it's not just during the game, it's also during. I mean, I think this week Eastleigh have played 3 games in 8 days, so the physical demands of non-league, of sort of the lower tiers of football, I think are much higher than Premier League, because Premier League you play once a week,
right? Even
though maybe the actual game might be a bit tougher, but yeah, non-league, it's definitely very, very physical. And some of the tackles that I've seen, I've been like, wow, like if I saw that in the Premier League, I don't think he'd stay on the pitch.
Yeah. And you talk about the players being ex-professionals, some of them, like, do these guys have day jobs? Are they working elsewhere and then showing up to training at night and then playing, or are they actually somewhat being paid for their to play, I guess?
I'm not too sure. I haven't got an opportunity to ask that yet, but I think they do train regularly and play on the day, and obviously do get paid, maybe not as much as in higher tiers, but they probably do. But in terms of day jobs, I'm not too sure what their actual lifestyle is like, but maybe I'll have to get around to asking somebody. They have a French player who's actually from the sort of area that we're from as well, so maybe I'll get a chance to ask him.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Well, I mean, it sounds awesome, and if people wanted to go and see the team, it's near Southampton. I think I'm relatively familiar, but I'm not going to pretend like I know exactly where it is. Where could they find information on the team if they wanted to go watch the team, maybe play or anything like that?
Yeah, so Eastleigh have a website, just Eastleigh FC. Getting there is fairly easy from Southampton. It's 2 stops away. Driving as well is about 20 minutes. Matchday parking available for £5 for the day. But yeah, it's fairly accessible. I mean, when you get to the station, you need to walk about 10-15 minutes. But yeah, it's definitely it's quite easy to get to, I would say, from Southampton, and it's definitely worth a watch. It's very entertaining. And
on the right day, walking around the South Coast is not bad. When we were there, we managed to find it on a relatively sunny day. It was windy, but it was sunny, and walking around town was fantastic. So, that's great. Anyway, do you want to move on and talk a little bit about Southampton, and we'll kind of look ahead and see what's going on? Sure,
but just before we do that, it's just a little fun story of the last game I worked at Eastleigh. I was doing photography on the pitch during the warm-ups, and I was walking from one side of the pitch to the other, and the ball came towards me, and the player's quite close, so I just tapped the ball towards the player, and he and as I'm walking one step forward, I noticed the ball goes through my legs as he nutmegs me as I'm walking.
So that was, even though you returned the ball, you were being nice. You kicked the ball back to him, and he decided, "No, I'm just going to beg you and make it."
Didn't think he needed to do that in front of everyone, but that's all right.
Did he at least pat you on the shoulder as you walked by and laugh, or did he just not talk to you?
He shrugged his shoulders and was like, "Yeah, I had to do it."
That's awful.
It's all in good spirit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. And if I can ask, which aspect do you enjoy, the photography aspect, or do you like the writing aspect of it, or what is it that you find to be most enjoyable?
I enjoy just being part of the football club in general because at the end of match reports they credit it saying I wrote it, but I think I enjoy photography more because I feel more of a part of it and it's just building up as a journalist. It's just building up the portfolio. Write match reports, take photos, do Twitter, do data. If I can do as much as I can, then it just shows that I can do many things in that sort of area. So yeah, but I like photography in general. So doing sports photography, that's just a bonus.
All right. Sounds good. Well, maybe one day you can get up there with Matt Watson, who does the Saints photography and all that stuff that so many people use on Twitter, and you kind of see it all over Instagram and stuff as well. So
let's hope so.
All right. Well, let's briefly talk about the Carabao Cup match. I think we said it wasn't televised here, but it wasn't really. I don't know if there's a bunch of drama in it, if it was kind of lackluster for the most part. But I think we spoke about Angus Gunn, and I'll say we talked for about 5 or 6 minutes before, and I think we talked about this, but then we got cut off. So I'm not exactly sure where that happened. So if we already covered this, I apologize, and I'll cut it out in the editing. But we looked at the victory. It is a victory. We got a late goal. Is that really what matters coming out of that? Is just progressing to the next round and giving guys an opportunity to play that might not make the Premier League team on a match day?
Yeah, sure. I think that's the main purpose of the cup, is just to give players a chance who don't play regularly. The likes of Gunn is one of them, and he made a cracking save during the game. But I think progressing as well. I think Southampton made 10 changes. El Yunusi was the only one who stayed in. But I think progressing as well is good for the confidence of the players. Getting the win, good for the confidence as well. But yeah, just giving players a chance to play, I guess, is the main reason.
And I mean, we sent so many players out on loan, but a lot of them were under 23 players and guys that were going to be on the fringes of the team and probably not get a whole lot of minutes. But you look at last year where the Saints were really building. I guess the year before, Saints were really building to have a run in Europe. You have to have a squad that is of a significant size to be able to do that. You have to have depth and things like that. And you do that, you get knocked out early, you don't make it out of the group stages, and then the following year you don't qualify at all, and you're left with this plethora of players that all need minutes. And when they don't get minutes, people get frustrated. You wind up having to load a salary just rotting in the reserves or playing under 23 football and things like that. So I think now with some of the guys that are out on loan, whether they be first team guys like Buffal and Carrillo, who just didn't have a place in the team, or some of the younger guys who have gone out. Do you think that's a positive for the club, or do you think that it just shows that maybe we spent some money in the wrong places and now we are kind of stuck with it?
Well, no, I think loaning out players like Buffal and Carrillo were good decisions. Buffal for the attitude problems, and Carrillo for the fact that he just wasn't very as good as we hoped he would be. It didn't quite work out for him. But there are players like Sims, who I look at and I thought he could have a go. He could have, because last season he came on, made an impact. He made a few impacts during the game. I thought he could have been someone who could have been on the subs bench regularly to come on. But no, players like Reed, players like McQueen, loans for them will only do them good, even though they've been on loan for multiple occasions. I think not getting rid of Forster in terms of finance for the club, that's very poor, because I think he's one of the highest earning players at the club, and he's not even in a matchday squad, and I don't think he will be unless Gunn or McCarthy get injured. But yeah, I think when we look at 2-3 seasons ago under Koeman, we had players like Target and Ward-Prowse featuring regularly, and then you had McQueen as well featuring regularly. The academy is still there, and the players are there. Developing well. I think there are some very good ones for the future. There was one who chose Southampton over the likes of Bayern, Madrid, Juventus, whatnot. So yeah, if we can develop them like we know that we have and we know that we can, I think the future is bright.
I think it's good. I think there's got to be a step up sometimes between under 23s and actually getting into the Premier League, and sometimes I think the Championship for a lot of those guys will be it, especially if they can get significant minutes. And some of them are going to go down and be in a sort of relegation scrap, and that might do them some good as well. And other guys are going to go play in kind of high-powered teams who are going to have the ball, and that if they play midfield, they're going to be on the ball a lot, and that'll be good for them as well. So hopefully it all works out. And I think as much as we want it to, it won't work out for everybody, and that's just kind of how it goes. But we will see. So we move on. We'll play in the next round of the cup, and I think we got Everton away, which a lot of people were tweeting that this is where it ends because we can't win there. But we'll just leave that for another day because it's not what's I don't think that's important right now. I think what's important right now is kind of looking at maybe our last two Premier League games, and especially yesterday against Crystal Palace, and the fact that we named an unchanged lineup going in from last week against Everton to this week, and we managed to pull it off this week, which I thought was good.
Yeah. Before the game, I was quite skeptical because, Selhurst Park is a very tough place to go for every team. Even Man City last season struggled there. But I think the main factor was the fact that Wilfried Zaha was not available to them because statistically, before yesterday, they'd played 11 without Zaha and they didn't earn a point. When he doesn't play, they don't get points. So now that statistic is extended to 12. But, I think huge credit to McCarthy yesterday. Pulled off some stunning saves. We have to thank Benteke as well for not quite being on target with his shots. The midfield as well, Højbjerg and Lemina, they're forming a really good partnership right now. El Yunusi as well, finding some more confidence. Ings, he's been an incredible signing with that. I think that instinct that Austin or Long wouldn't have, Ings has it. But yeah, I think the team is really starting to gel now, and it's looking really, really positive.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we've talked about is it wasn't clear that Mark Hughes knew what his best lineup was, and we played all or most of preseason with the back three, I guess, or a back five, and then we moved away from it almost immediately, and to me that was a concern because how do you go through all preseason and not realize like, hey, we need to work on something else, and or not stick with it for at least a couple of games and kind of give the guys a chance to do it. But credit to Mark Hughes, I think he's made the right decision by just abandoning it completely and recognizing this as his team and the formation that works best for the players we have. The biggest thing for me is we have a guy in Armstrong that doesn't fit the system. He doesn't fit necessarily in a 4-4-2 very well, and I don't even think he was on the bench yesterday at all. Which is what happens sometimes. You can't necessarily. He's maybe not the player you build your team around. Maybe he's not that good, but I think we have like you said, a midfield partnership that's really doing well. But let's just go through the team. Gunn played well in the cup. I think that's going to be his competition. He's going to want to obviously win every game there, give him a chance and set himself up to be the successor if something were to happen to Alex McCarthy. McCarthy, of course, got called up to the England squad, so I think he's going to retain that spot. I have no issue with him being there. The back four, though, Cedric, you have any issues with him starting still, or do you still think he's the best right back at the club?
The problem I find with Cedric is that I think he knows that there's not that much competition for him. Maybe Stevens, but Stevens is not a natural right back. He's more of a central defender. But Cedric, he's a bit like Tadic. He has his games, and then he plays really, really well, and then the next game he'll do nothing. It's just he's quite a frustrating player to watch because we know that what he can do and what he's capable of, but sometimes he just doesn't really show it. But I think if Southampton were to buy another player in January, I would probably think it would be a right back, personally.
Yeah, all right. And then that central defensive partnership, Vestergaard and Hoot, I think we play Vestergaard every game, right? He's probably the one that doesn't change. And Hoot, from time to time, we were talking before we started recording, he's frustrating, and he is somebody who doesn't necessarily fill me with a ton of confidence. He can pass, he's good on the ball, but you worry about him. Even yesterday, there was one part where he decided to, just dribble maybe one more time than I would have liked, and then pass it squarely across our own 18-yard box. And it's like, hey, like, what are you doing? Like, I get yelled at for that, on Sundays. What are you, what are you doing? So do you have any issues with him, or would you like to see, Yoshida or Bednarak be given a spot, or do you think that maybe that partnership is just working just fine?
Yeah, who, as you say, frustrating, good on the ball. Defensively, his awareness was a bit, off yesterday. Benteke was left to Cedric, or was for the McCarthy save in the stoppage time. Who left Benteke completely unmarked, which is, criminal, but thankfully McCarthy stepped up. Stevens, I'm not too sure about. When he first came into the squad, I thought he looked really, really good alongside Van Dijk, but then maybe that's because Van Dijk was, maybe made him look more impressive, because Van Dijk is a very good defender. Yoshida, age-wise, he's getting on a bit, but experience, I think with Vestergaard's cemented his place in the back four, so he's probably the first name on that lineup in Central. Bednarek had a good World Cup. He scored in Poland's only game and won man of the match for that game, and Bednarek's been really impressive.
Yeah,
and I'm not
against Japan even.
Yeah, and I'm not too sure, whether it's injuries or whether Hughes isn't a huge fan of him. But personally, why not give Vestergaard and Bednarek a go? It wouldn't do the world of good for Hoot's confidence, but maybe in the next cup match, if we get Bednarek and Yoshida out, or Bednarek and Stevens, if they impress, maybe they'll be able to push for a place in the starting 11, because I think Bednarek is, since he started against Chelsea, he's been really impressive. Yeah,
no, he was the one that I think he got some blame in Poland for some of the goals that they conceded. I don't know if you remember, I forget who they were playing, but it was one of the teams from Africa, where the sub came on like middle. It wasn't even, or not a sub, but the injured player came on during the run of play, and the first thing they did was just send it long, and it was over his head, and he wasn't aware. And I don't think that's on him. I think that's a mistake maybe by the fourth official and the referee. And I don't know. I don't want to. That was a long time ago, but maybe he gets a little bit of blame for that stuff. But I think he overall had a really good World Cup, and I think he's progressed a lot since the beginning of last season, when I think our first real introduction to him was him playing in a back three against Wolves in the first round or the second round of the Carabao Cup, and just getting torn apart. So towards the end of last season, I think he really came on a bit, and I think he'll be fine. But we'll just have to watch and see, if and when he actually gets a few chances.
Speaking of the World Cup, which France won, I just mentioned, I just put that in there.
Yeah, I would make a comment, but the U.S. didn't play, so I'll just leave it there. If you look at the middle of the field now for the team, you have that partnership with Højbjerg and Lemina. Of course, Højbjerg missed out midweek because of the red card, the double yellow red card accumulation. So or whatever the heck it's called. I think I just botched that completely. But anyway, he was out during the Carabao Cup. He's back for this. Do you have any issue with him coming straight back into the team? Because I said last week I didn't think that Hughes would be able to choose him, because it was just kind of such a disastrous dive that it wasn't, that can't possibly be acceptable. And you have to realize that you put your team in peril by doing that. But Hughes obviously didn't agree with that, and thought that this was the best partnership for going out and trying to win a game.
I think Lemina and Højbjerg, what they offer is a very dynamic duo. The thing with Romeo is he's good at breaking up the play, but Lemina can do that. The thing that Romeo's a bit of a destroyer in the midfield, but when it comes to passing or shooting or dribbling or whatever, he's not quite at the level that Lemina and Højbjerg are. So I think Lemina and Højbjerg are very good together. You've also got Ward-Prowse, who can come on, set pieces, etc., as we always say. But yeah, Højbjerg and Lemina, I don't have issues with at all. I think that they're forming a very powerful duo.
All right. I don't think there's any argument for having El Nussi and Redmond in there, Ings either. The one thing I think that people had an issue with yesterday is you see Shane Long starting, you see Gabbiadini not even in the team, on the team sheet in the subs at least. People get worried. People don't like that. And I think I said last week too that Long serves a purpose in this system. He is the out ball. He is going to be the guy that runs in behind. Ings enjoys dropping deep and getting on the ball and making a pass from time to time, and that's something that I don't think a lot of our other strikers do. And I don't know. Do you have an issue with Long, or do you think that once again, maybe just like the Vestergaard-Hoop partnership, that this is the one that works best in the system?
Well, the thing with Long, we say it time and time again, the thing that he offers is work rate. He will press the defender, he'll run for the ball over the top, he won't give up. But there comes a time where, that's just not good enough. You need a player to score. I mean, we've got Ings. Ings can do what Long can do. Ings is fast, he pressures defenders. Gabbiadini, I mean, we say partnerships need to be formed by playing together. And if Ings and Gabbiadini don't have a chance to play together, when the time comes that they have to play together, then, it's not going to work because they haven't. So I think Ings and Gabbiadini could form a really good partnership. And has Hughes forgotten that Gabbiadini was essentially the player who kept us up, along with McCarthy, obviously, but Gabbiadini did score that goal against Swansea. So I think Ings and Gabbiadini should be a partnership that should be experimented with, soon.
I mean, are we willing to allow Hughes time to try that? And do you think that, I mean, I don't know how much influence like we actually have over the manager. I mean, he probably doesn't care what we think. He doesn't seem to be that type of person. And I really hope he's not, because he's the manager and we're not. But, if he puts out that team and it doesn't work, how long does he give it before he goes like, we have to change this because points are, at a premium, really?
I mean, if he keeps, changing his tactics, that doesn't give us confidence, because that gives us the impression that, he doesn't know what his best lineup is, like we thought at the start of the season where he changed formation. It seems to be working more now, but, we're going to need more than goals from Ings to find goals. We're going to need Long to score goals. We're going to need midfielders to score goals. So Long has to start finding the net, because your job as a striker is to score goals. So I think, we can keep going with this, but Long does need to, find the goal a lot more often than he has recently.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, just kind of jumping into some of the things that kind of jumped out at me at the game. We're sitting mid-table at this point. I still think it's way too early to even consider where we are in the table, but we've played Burnley at home, who was coming off of a trip to, I think, Turkey at that point.
Yeah.
We played Everton away. We played a Vardy-less Leicester. And Amara's-less Leicester as well. And then an Zaha-less Palace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have we been let off the hook a little bit? Have we, I mean, it's fairly easy-ish start to the season, correct?
Looking at the fixture list, before the season started, I was like, yeah. So how many, that would have been 4 games. Burnley at home, we knew would be a tough game because we know what Burnley are like. But I thought, tired legs, tired in general, coming back from Turkey, we had chances. A draw, not the end of the world, but, we could have won that game. Against Everton, Everton, defensive issues there, conceded 2 poor goals, lost that game. Leicester should have won that game. If Højbjerg, I'm not going to put all the blame on Højbjerg, because Højbjerg, until then, had a decent game. But Højbjerg sending off made life much harder for Saints. And then the goal that Maguire scored at the end was so easily avoidable. It went through 2 defenders. Vestergaard could have easily blocked it. But yeah, it's too early to start talking about relegation problems. The win against Palace would have, it would have been a massive relief on the shoulders of the players and the management as well. But I think mid-table is where we should be looking. We should be looking, mid-table. Just keep playing each game week in, week out, and then we should take it from there.
Yeah. I mean, the next run of games, looking at the schedule, it looks like there's another break, kind of the middle of October. And between now and then, of course, we have the week off this week for international stuff, but we come back and play Brighton on the 17th. Then we go away to Liverpool, then away to Everton for the Carabao Cup, away to Wolves, and then home to Chelsea before we have another break. So that run of games is,
those are tough games.
Yeah, and now, so you look, there's a little bit of pressure on the Brighton game to pick something up because we're at home. We've already beaten them in the cup, and you obviously the team has heavily changed, but you would hope that we could do that again. Mm-hmm. And then I think if you just get a point away at Liverpool or Wolves, you'll be happy. And then I hate to say it, but kind of the same thing for Chelsea. You kind of just hope you know, if you can get a draw at home, which is never really what you want, but that would be acceptable, especially because they look like they're playing pretty well. You know, just reading some of the things that I've read and looking at the highlights. So we'll have to see
over the next 4 games. I would be happy. I mean, one of them is a cup game, as you say, but over the next league games, I'd be happy with 4 points, maybe.
Yeah.
Brighton would probably be, you know, not a 6-pointer, but it would be a game that we would probably have to win. And then I can't really see us getting anything against Liverpool, nor against Chelsea. So, you know, we're going to have to maybe a draw against Wolves, because Wolves are playing really, really good football.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Brighton game is going to be a really pivotal moment, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But hey, we have a couple of weeks to until we have to worry about that, I guess. Now, yesterday during the game, there were some moments that I thought were, I don't know, I don't want to say pivotal, but that were important, I think, because we went through some of the first half right out of the gate. We came out strong, and I think that's something that they had been working on from previous weeks, where we started slow, had a bad first half. We came out last week against Leicester and played much better, but still kind of couldn't finish the game, you know, and fell a little bit short at the end. And I think this week they kind of, it looks like they focused on finishing the game, but they came out, they started strong, and Sakho just looked like he wasn't quite paying attention. And that was a real mess right at the beginning. You know, nothing came of it, but one of the things that jumped out at me is right away, the 3rd minute of the game, the cross comes in to Benteke, and who's guarding him at the back post? But it's Cedric, and it's the same thing. It's the same thing we've seen. We got away with it yesterday. He did just enough on another ball that came into the box where he kind of like got tangled up with one of the offensive players and did just enough to put him off. But you know, that worries me. We got away with it, but is it something we need to worry about going forward, or is part of what Cedric has to do is learn how to defend, you know, balls in the air?
I mean, on another day, Benteke could have probably got 2 goals, 3 goals, but no, I mean, marking Benteke, I think Vestergaard and Who would have been personally instructed to mark him, because Cedric, I don't know how tall he is, but Cedric against Benteke is a mismatch. They shouldn't be anywhere near each other on the pitch, let alone in the box. So I think that's down to, I think it was Hoot at the time. I think that's down to Hoot's lack of spatial awareness and, you know, just lack of concentration as well. But no, we were fortunate that Benteke had a very, very off day yesterday.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think we got lucky with him. I think he was, you know, if you want an ironic man of the match, it might have been him, because he probably had several chances to put it away. One of the things that I liked from us is at one point we had a ball from Hoot that got played out a long diagonal, I think, over to Cedric. The ball then came into the box, and Long won the header and was able to get it down. You know, we couldn't get a shot off. The ball got kind of recycled, and Long finally had a shot blocked. But like, that was about the 20th minute, and that was really, to me, other than that kind of initial flurry in front of goal, like, that was really the best kind of run of play that we had in the match. And it was nice to see us kind of be able to control the game a little bit and create some passes. And it looked like what we tried to do several times yesterday is make that long kind of diagonal switch to create space for our attackers to run into. And I was really kind of impressed with that. And I think that relies heavily on the fullbacks getting forward. And that relies also on Redmond and El Nusi to be able to, you know, beat a defender and actually and put a ball in the box from time to time. So I don't know, like, other than that, like, what was your overall kind of thoughts on the first half as we went in 0-0?
Yeah, I mean, it was encouraging, the fact that we had control of possession, and that we had, you know, we restricted Palace to maybe 1 or 2 attempts. But yeah, it's good seeing that we have multiple routes to get in behind, you know, via the long ball, via, you know, some ping pong passing. But yeah, I think it's encouraging that we do have the ball, but in future we're going to have to make sure that we do a lot more with it.
Yeah, absolutely. When we went into halftime, possession stats and things like that, I mean, we were 65% possession in the first half. And, I don't know. We had, it says, according to the stats, 10 attempts, but only one of them on target. So like you said, not nearly as clinical there as we needed to be. And Palace had 5 attempts and only one of those was on target. So neither team really creating clear chances, I guess, or really troubling either keeper. But you felt, I think, going into halftime that we played a decent half of football, and that it hopefully was something we were going to be able to build on. And in my mind, this is where we were focusing on, we've played one good half, and this is all we've ever gotten out of a game so far this season, where we managed to play one good half in each kind of game. And now it was, are we going to be able to come out and play that way in the second? And we did. I mean, away we came out. Cedric put that ball over. I don't know why their defender didn't head it away, and I don't exactly know what happened to Long, because Long seemed to go down hurt after that. I think he got elbowed or something like that. But and Ings, just like you said earlier, that instinct that he has just to be in the right place at the right time, to take that, to go with the shot that he went with, and not have to smash it and just place it into the net, and give us some confidence and give us some belief, I guess, that we do have the ability, and we do have the talent, and we do have the quality to be able to go out and win matches.
Yeah, I mean, with the first goal, there was that element of luck as to what the Palace defenders were trying to do. And then, Ings just there. He could easily have missed it, could have gone wide, hit the post, whatever, but no, he was really composed, just to slide the ball through Hennessy's legs. And hopefully it's something that we see more often, because he really seems to be, on the ball when he's thinking. He's really got that striker's instinct as to which position to be in, what to do when he has the ball. And and it was a good ball by Cedric as well. So that they all deserve credit for that one. That to me, I mean, I was obviously very excited when that ball went in. And a lot of times that ball gets headed away right away, or goes through to the goalkeeper and nothing comes of it. But when it comes off like that, that was it seemed to justify kind of everything that had happened before that, and to see us do it so early in the second half, I thought was really obviously a good thing, because you were ahead. So shortly after that, there was a little bit of a goal mouth scramble where Cedric, I understand Cedric getting beaten in the air by Benteke. I almost expect that, because like we said, that's a huge mismatch and it shouldn't happen. But Benteke managed to dribble past Cedric right on the edge of the area at one point. And it led to kind of a scramble in the box, and to me that can't happen to Cedric. Like, Cedric needs to be able to defend on the ground against a guy who's not necessarily quick, who I wouldn't necessarily classify as it's not Eden Hazard beating you on the dribble. It's Christian Benteke, and that shouldn't happen. But nothing came of it. We managed to get the ball clear, and then kind of the next thing that happens is the penalty decision after Austin comes on, and handball, I think it's pretty clear. What do you think about the decision for Austin to take that after being on the pitch for just a few minutes? I don't think I can complain as to Austin taking it, because I think as penalty takers go, he's one of the better ones. The issue that I had was, why not let someone who's fresh take it, like maybe Ings or something like that, because he'd been on the pitch for a while, and Austin, he'd only just come on, so maybe his legs wouldn't have been as ready for it. But it was a terrible penalty, and thankfully on another day it might have cost us. Thankfully it didn't. We hopefully will look ahead to the next one, if he takes the next one and score the next one.
I mean, I think we all know that last year it seemed to be like Tadic was the designated penalty taker. And I know there were at a couple points some arguments between Tadic and Austin over who was going to take the penalty and things like that. And it's obvious that Austin likes to take them, but I don't know, sometimes you just think maybe it would have been better for somebody who's been on the pitch for a while to take it. But if he's the designated guy, if he's the guy who's supposed to take it, he takes it. He essentially just rolled it up there, which was pretty pathetic, to be honest. But if it goes in, we don't care. But he missed it, and at that point, my heart sank a little bit. I realized at that point that the momentum might swing. Some people say that Palace has this good atmosphere, that the fans are always they're right on the pitch and they're behind the team and it's loud, and I was worried at that point, and I don't know how you felt when we missed that penalty, but I thought that it might really cost us the match, or it cost us at least 2 points.
I was sort of thinking, oh, here we go again. This is it. It's started again, hasn't it? Sort of moment, because we had the chance, and even we had that chance. We had chances after. I was like, yeah, this could, if we draw this, I'm going to be really upset, because we had chances to make it 2-0, 3-0 before we actually did. But yeah, it was that feeling of, okay, this is going to be a tough last few minutes, because the fans are going to be energized, the momentum's going to be with Palace. It's just, we all thought it would only go downhill from there.
Yeah, I mean, in the last kind of few minutes of the match, I think the second half, that missed penalty kind of opened the game up, because I think it gave Palace a little bit of belief as well, and they came kind of pouring forward, and it gave us the opportunity to go and attack. Some of the changes we made, Long had to come off injured, and Austin came on, and that was part of the reason that he was on the pitch to take the penalty. We brought on Matt Targett for El Nussi, and eventually we brought on Romeo for Ings, and I think we kind of changed up the formation a little bit, but it looked like Targett was kind of playing, on the wing essentially, whether it was as a wing back or just a part of the midfield. I'm not exactly sure, but he eventually is the one who plays that ball in for Højbjerg, who manages to make the run and kind of squeeze the last little bit of juice out of the legs and score the stoppage time, kind of just to seal it, I guess. But do you have any issues with the kind of the tactics that were brought on, or do you think that was the right thing to do, and bringing on essentially another defender and a guy just to kind of hold up play in the middle of the field? I thought we switched. Honestly, I thought we switched back to a back three with wing backs at some point.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, so what I think would have happened was maybe more defensive. So Targett would have gone to left wing back. Bertrand would have tucked into the left centre back role, and then you got Vestergaard and Hoot. You got Cedric on the right, and then you have the three midfielders of Lamino, Romeo, and Højbjerg, and then you got Austin up front with Redmond, I think it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was probably switching to the 5-3-2 or the 3-5-2 that we had been familiar with in all pre-season.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Palace attacking, and then we had the width of Hoot finding Targett left relatively unmarked, quite out wide, and then just Højbjerg in the middle on his own, running in on goal. It was. I think those were good tactics. You have to go defensive at a certain point in the game to try and shut out the Crystal Palace attack, and I think it was the right choice at the time.
The most important thing for me in that situation is everybody seems to be aware of what's happening, and it was pretty clear the roles that people were slotted into. Bertrand is comfortable in that left center back role, and when Hoot was able to find Targett, you just hope Targett doesn't have the most pace in the world, and it was nice that he got his head up soon enough and spotted the run, and just the pass almost didn't have enough on it, and he almost left it just a little bit short. But Højbjerg was able to get there, and then all those finishing drills that we see over and over in practice, that it looked like that exact, like he had done this 1,000 times before in practice over the past, however many weeks and months, where you got to get in front of the defender, you got to, and drew the keeper out just enough and then put it away. And it was like, when that went in, like kind of, I don't know, a huge sigh of relief from me here in my house. And I don't know how you felt, but I imagine that every Southampton fan just kind of went like, all right, we're over the line. Like, this is it. And you allow yourself to kind of then be positive about some of the performances and things like that I think we, had we drawn that game somehow, I think we ignore a lot more of the positive things that came out of it, simply because, we didn't get the result. But I think the result, maybe that's unfair, but I think the result definitely allows us to look at some of the positives and recognize that, yeah, Cedric still had to defend Benteke at the back post a couple of times. Benteke missed a couple of headers. We still have things to work on, but overall, we're definitely moving in the right direction.
Oh yeah, 100%. We're definitely getting to the sort of play that we can, go into games being a bit more confident, thinking that we can win them now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I mean, anything else that kind of jumps out to you? I mean, the only thing that I really have to emphasize is that Benteke and Ayew were terrible on the day.
Ayew especially.
They had chances, and not having Zaha, I think, definitely hurt Palace, and that I mean, it goes without saying almost. But I was saying earlier before when we got cut off, and I don't think I made it on there, but like I was at a fantasy football draft yesterday, American football, and some of the things that people look for if they're really into it is, maybe you want that elite level tight end or whatever it is, but really like what you were looking for is if you can't get him, like what's the difference between like him and the next guy? Like how many points are you going to lose in there? Like, and to make that drop from Zaha to Ayew is huge. Like, if we go from Ings to Austin, that drop isn't maybe so big, but if you have to go from Zaha or down to Ayew, that's just a massive letdown. And it doesn't translate. They couldn't cope with that. And we maybe got a bit fortunate in that. We played like we said, a Vardy-less Leicester, Zaha-less Palace, but I think you have to beat the teams that's in front of you, and the fact that we were able to do that and take those points at an away match in the Premier League, I think that is overall a huge positive.
Especially considering that another day, Selhurst Park is one of the toughest places to go to.
Yeah,
so that's been really good as well. That's really good as well.
It's as an American fan, looking at some of the places to go and actually, places you want to see. Sure. Maybe you want to go to the Emirates just because it's this big kind of glorious stadium and things like that. But, really, Selhurst Park, even Goodison Park, where any of these places where you're sitting kind of on the pitch, like that's what you want. That's what you want to experience. That's what I think, in my mind, and I think maybe possibly some of the other American fans like that. That's what the English football is kind of looks like, My brother is a QPR fan, so when we watch games there, it's or on TV when they were televised when they were in the Premier League, that looks like just a nice place to go and kind of experience the thing. Not necessarily that the football is always going to be great or that it's going to be comfortable, but that's the atmosphere that you kind of want. So it's nice to be able to go there and get a win. Oh yeah,
it's also, I think the smaller sort of tighter stadiums for players are slightly more nerve-wracking than larger stadiums like London Stadium, Emirates, Old Trafford, Stamford Bridge, Etihad. Stadiums like that where it doesn't feel like the fans are too close. It definitely relieves a lot of pressure, I think, from the players knowing that the fans aren't too close. But when the fans are right at you, like Selhurst Park, it can be quite nerve-wracking for the players. I think.
Yeah. Well, it's got to be completely different than walking into the Bernabeu or something like that, where you could be overawed by the occasion, but to walk into that where you're trying to take a throw and they can touch you, that's got to be nerve-wracking. And I forget who I was talking to yesterday, but they said next time somebody goes to take a corner or a throw in, just look at the fans behind them and look what they're doing and saying. Try to read their lips, and it's like, people are right there and right on them, and they're definitely hurling abuse. I don't care if it's a 10-year-old kid or an 85-year-old lady. Like they are giving it to them, and I think that's great.
It's good for the atmosphere, that's for sure.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to point out is I put on my notes, I sometimes tend to take the stats, if I can get them from the official kind of Premier League TV broadcast, I will just kind of screen clip it real quick and put it in there. And if I can't do that, I often just grab it from this. If I kind of go out of full screen, because I watch everything on my laptop, if I go out of full screen, there's usually like the stats box kind of on the side of the screen. And yesterday they were so far off from one another in one particular aspect, and that was shots on target. So both of them have 20 and 19 shots per team, but then one of them has 13 shots on target per team. And I was like, man, that seems like a lot. That doesn't seem right. And then you go down and the Premier League official stats list 6 attempts on target per team. And I don't know, like I tend to trust stats. I tend to look at them, but that just made me go like, this is a joke. Like who knows, like what, how many times have I quoted the stats from one particular place where we're off by more than double, but anyway,
yeah,
I'm not really sure why I'm talking about that now, but I am.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't know. Is there anything else that kind of stands out to you about either the match or the team, the season up until this point that you want to make sure we talk about?
No, I think everything's covered for now. I think.
We did get one question from Instagram, and I'm not 100% sure that we need to go into it, but it basically says like, It's from Matthew Dewey. It says, will we stay up this season? And if so, how many points do you think we will finish with? And I'm not sure I can answer that. I think we are, based on this performance, we play like we did yesterday. We will lose some disappointing games because we will concede headers and things like that we shouldn't. But overall, I think the performance is good enough to be mid-table, like you said. Is that kind of what you think that we are capable of, or do you think that there's a chance we could still go down? And obviously, maybe it's still too early probably to say that.
I think mid-table is probably the realistic sort of expectation. I think you look at other teams. I think there are other teams that are not quite on the level that Southampton are. I think Cardiff and Huddersfield are two teams that stick out as teams that are favourites to go down. Palace, if anything was to happen to Zaha, they're in huge trouble. But for now, it is too early to tell. I think you can probably tell after maybe 10, 15 games, who's going to go, who's, looking likely. But as we thought we were, all right at some moments, and then we were really, we got out of it through the skin of our teeth. So we're just going to have to wait and see. I hope we don't have to, go to the last day and have to get a win. But I think we'll be okay.
Yeah. Let's see. I do have one other thing here. Simon Peach yesterday tweeted, Southampton fans tuning in to match of the day for the first time in a while. The win at Crystal Palace makes this just the third weekend in 2018 that the Saints have won a Premier League match. Like, and not that we only have that many wins, because of course the Swansea win was midweek, but I mean, only 3 weekends I didn't realize that. I knew that it'd been somewhat disappointing, and I've talked about a lot of losses and a lot of disappointing draws on the show, but to only have the third weekend where we actually had a win, like, no wonder yesterday was so good outside of the match. I was in a much better mood yesterday.
Yeah, it'd been a while since I'd watched Match of the Day as well. But yeah, the three weekends, that's it. Only when you really think about it, you think, how's that possible?
Yeah, yeah. And how is that possible and we still somehow managed to stay up?
Exactly. It's crazy.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know if we don't have anything. I think we kind of made it all the way through the game, and we talked about loans. We talked about kind of all that stuff. So I think looking forward, obviously the international break is ahead of us, so we'll have to see who comes back healthy. That they think that's the biggest concern for me always when they go out, and you hope they play well, and they hope they come back and are fired up to get that win against Brighton at home, and then kind of kick on from there.
Yeah, let's hope so.
All right. Well, we will make sure and talk again soon, and I hope the coverage of Eastleigh goes well for you, and once university starts, I hope that all goes well. But I know you have to get into central London to work. How long does that take you from where you're at right now?
About 40 minutes, something like that.
On the train?
Yeah.
Nice, easy ride, or a bunch of changes?
A couple of changes, but it's nothing too drastic.
My one experience trying to get across London at rush hour was insane. It was a total mistake from me, but I've learned, and I will never do that again. But
it's not for me. It's not too rush hour. It's sort of, because I leave at 4:15. It's fairly busy, but not too busy. But yeah, it's not that bad. It's all right. Last I think it was on Friday I was working, and they had to close the line, like my last stop, to get to the place that I normally work at, because there was an incident. So from there to work, it would be half an hour to walk, and this is central. This is sort of Buckingham Palace, Green Park area. Okay. So it takes 30 minutes to walk from there to work. But what I did was I had to get an Uber from there to work, and the traffic was so heavy. Like, my side was all right, but the other side was so heavy. You wonder, why do you drive in central London?
Yeah. No, when we were there, we were at the Elephant and Castle station, so it was like we were. It was easy to get on and off. That was no problem. But you go, one or two stops, and then the station is just insane. And I don't know. I remember trying to get on a couple of those places with the kids, and it was just like, just hold them tight and go through and stop trying to pick stuff up off the ground. To my daughter, who thinks everything that's shiny is valuable. So it was a good time. But Buckingham Palace, it looks nice from the outside. That's what I saw of it. It was raining, and we got out of there.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, have a good day, man, and good luck at work.
You too.
And I look forward to maybe following along the match reports at Eastleigh.
Thank you. I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
And that does it for this episode of the Southampton Delivery Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed it. Special thanks this week goes out to Alex Hammond, my guest. He's at St. Hammond on Twitter. Be sure to follow him if you are not doing it already. And if you're an Eastleigh FC supporter, say hi to him next time you're around the field. He's the guy down there with a camera, or he's one of them. I don't know. He's got a camera or a computer or whatever. Just know that they're working really hard and they're doing good work. So give him some support because that stuff is hard and important. This show is partnered with the Southampton page. They're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and it's where I go for most of my Southampton content. So get there, stay up to date with what's going on the team. They're a great follow on Twitter. They have lots of great images and things on Instagram. The analysis is there. They'll be keeping you up to date with what's going on during the international break as well. I probably won't be doing as much because, like I said, I'll be in Kansas. Although I may have cut that out of the beginning of the show, but I'm telling you now, I won't be here. Anyway, the artwork for the show is done by Matt Beeling of the We Are Southampton page on Instagram. Matt has been a guest on the show. He's been a huge help to the show. He is just a fantastic guy. He attends a lot of the games. He really is great. So follow him along. It's the We Are Southampton page on Instagram. The links to all of those things that I mentioned are in the show notes. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. All music for this episode comes courtesy of the Free Music Archive at freemusicarchive.org. The intro song is Epic Song by Boxcat Games, and the end of show credits that you're listening to right now is Aim is True by Poddington Bear. You can follow along with this show on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. On Twitter and Instagram, we're at SFCDELL_IVERY. We're at Facebook.com/SFC Delivery. There is no underscore in the Facebook address. If you haven't done so already, you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, Acast, Google Play, TuneIn Radio, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you already do that, why not leave a review? It really helps. And until next time, remember that together, we march on.